Money Moves with Myth 2.0, the podcast. And always remember, gentlemen, it's a motherfucking movie. So today we have another video from a content creator. A lot of you guys might know, some of you guys may not know of this YouTuber named Dodash. Um she said she came out with a video saying that she quit her 9 to 5 to become a boss. So we're gonna be reacting to that video today, guys. And giving our own personal perspectives on the video. So if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and let's hop straight into the content.
I want to be 100% honest, and I want to save somebody the heartache of thinking something's wrong with you, or thinking you're lazy, or thinking that you're just a failure, or that you're a misfit, or that you're no good to society. Because there was a point I just felt like I don't want to do none of these jobs. Like, I thought something was wrong with me. I didn't want to work at McDonald's. I didn't want to do retail. I just didn't want to do none of the jobs. I didn't want to work in the hospital. I didn't want to go to school for a respiratory. I was in the respiratory therapy program, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to work around these people. I was working around a lot of people in the hospital that were just catty, backbiting. The things I saw was just downright disgusting. The patients were amazing. The patients couldn't wait to see me come in. They were like, "You're my favorite person." And they was always smiling. Like, people who were on their deathbed, and people who were sick, and people who had been diagnosed with health conditions were a lot more happier and excited than the actual people I would work with in the hospital. And I couldn't wrap my head around that. I mean, I'm not perfect. I have my bad days. But I'm 43 years old. And one thing I always told myself is I will never come to work with my problems. I leave my problems at home, or I do not.
What do you guys think, guys? It's almost impossible to leave, what I'm saying, your problems at home. Maybe you just had an argument with, what I'm saying, a heated argument with somebody, something that made you feel some type of way. But there is a way to um handle all those unwanted emotions that usually come out while you're working a job. And usually the jobs was my safe haven, you know what I'm saying, where I didn't have to think about anything else but getting the hours or getting to the bag, you know. So I can understand what she's saying right there, but let's keep it moving.
Put my problems on other people. If I was mad, if I was sad, that's one thing I can hold true to all my years of working. If I was mad, if I was sad, I would not throw them on you because I didn't want you to feel my pain. I would come in with a good attitude, or I wouldn't have no attitude at all. I would be still courteous and nice, but I wouldn't be catty and disgusting and backbiting and throwing people under the bus. And in the healthcare field, that's how a lot of people are. And so I would come in, and it would tear my soul apart to have to do clinicals, because I would be working around people, the actual employees, who were just disgusting to their other employees. And the patients would be so kind and nice and cheery, and I just loved that. But the employees, there was one employee who I went on a clinical round with her, and she was just smiling in her coworker's face. And when I got around her to do clinical, she was like, she pulled me to the side and she was like, I don't like her. She doesn't even know how to take blood. She doesn't know how to do vital signs. I do them so much better than her. And I'm just like, you were just smiling and being catty in her face, and now you're talking about how she doesn't know how to take blood, and how she doesn't know how to do this and that. And I'm like,
And that's usually how people are. Um wholeheartedly. Everybody puts on some type of sh- act, when working a job. It's just like I'm not gonna tell you 100% about what I got going on in my life. You know what I'm saying? Just because we work together, I'm gonna pick and choose the things that I want to tell you, and a lot of times people don't feel any type of way by letting somebody know how they feel about them. So basically, that's basically what happens a lot of times. People, you know, maybe higher up than you might have the same job feel as you, and they'll say little things to you to try to get you to get a reaction out of you for some type of emotion. But I learned a long time ago not to let people on your job dump their garbage on you. Like, have enough happiness within yourself to let people be people. But let's keep it moving.
The girl is trying, like, help her, show her. And she was just like, she doesn't know how to do anything. And then one of the patients, we went to check on a patient with anxiety. She was 16 years old. And we walked in the room, absolutely beautiful girl. She was 16, and she just came in for anxiety. And the person I was doing rounds with, the respiratory therapist, was like, she's just faking. She's faking it. She always comes in here with the same problems, and she's just faking it. And the girl was just exhausted. She was laying in the bed, really pretty girl, 16 years old, had the most beautiful hair I've ever seen. And she was just exhausted, and she had anxiety. And the girl was just trying to make it, just trying to survive. And I could tell she was annoyed. And I was just being so nice to her. And I noticed when I was being nice to the patient, her anxiety kind of lessened, and she was succumbing to my kindness. And her mom was kind of like being all anxious and just telling her she needs to calm down. And I could tell the 16-year-old girl was like annoyed with her mom. She was rolling her eyes. And then when I would come in the room, it's like she would kind of, let go, and she would just feel so much better, And when I would offer her like something to drink, she would take it, and she was just kind to me, And it seemed like her anxiety was lessened. But when her mom would come in the room, she would just be like, it's like her anxiety would come back. Whatever she was dealing
Whatever she was dealing with, it sounds like she's 16 and she's around that age period where she's probably acting up and don't really want to hear anything her mom has to say, because her mom's trying to make her do things that's in her best interest. And you know how teenagers is when they're 16, So we as professional people know not to get involved into other people's lifestyle. I understand that she was calming her down or whatever like that, but some people are good at that. Good with they're good with people. You know, um, but at the same time, like, you can't prejudge a situation. Like, you never know what's going on behind the counters. But let's keep it moving.
with was because of, her home situation. Before that, respiratory therapy nurse to be like, she's faking it. I believe, like, I don't just, we should just.
People can say what they want to say. You know, um, I honestly think that people in the healthcare field should be different, but you got to look at it like the healthcare field is nothing but a job with people who have bills and other issues as well. And they deal with people so much. And sometimes they come in and they think that they could just blow off a little steam, or whatever, and this is the issue. Like, you come in, you're thinking you're not saying nothing wrong, but you're saying stuff to the wrong people. Like, this, like, she's telling her and she's taking it in like, don't tell me. Like, the other lady probably thought this lady was her friend, but really she's not her friend, and she's really just soaking up everything on the job. And Yeah, chameleons. Um, it's a lot of chameleons, but I definitely think that you should keep your personal and your professional life the same. And me personally, like I couldn't work in the field with a bunch of women, because it's already bad enough that a bunch of the men be on female stuff and with the drama and stuff like that. So I could just understand how it is with a bunch of women who talk a lot. But let's keep it moving.
Tell people they're faking it, or they don't really see something that they actually see, or they don't feel something that they actually feel. And so that turned me off, and it got to where I was coming into clinicals, and no matter where I went, all of my rounds in different cities, in different towns, it's like the coworkers would just be there. They would just hate their jobs. And I dealt with that all of my life, like people working around people who were just mean and rude and hated their jobs, like older people I would work around with who were just bitter. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I said to myself, I don't want to be like that. And you know what? A lot of people want structure with a job, but they're so unhappy. They're so depressed. They're not living their lives. And that's no way to live. And so I said to myself, I'm not lazy. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to do this job. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to work around depressed people. I don't want that energy around me.
And if you don't want to work that type of job, you don't have to. But my thing is that when people go off and then they just start blaming all jobs, you know what I'm saying? There's some jobs that have saved my life, you know what I'm saying? But let's keep it moving.
You sacrifice your life for a job, but you're so unhappy. You're so depressed and you hate your life. And I did not want to be like that. And then, so I worked a retail job. And when Instagram came out, that's when I felt the light. That's when I felt the joy I'd never felt with a job. And so when Instagram came out, I was working retail at Kohl's. And I finally found something that gave me life. Social media. I finally was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. And it's a connection with people. And that's,
Guys, just because she had a good breakthrough with social media doesn't mean that every person is going to have the same outcome. And a lot of times, most of us are still going to have to work a job. You know, I know a lot of these videos, people be, she was it seemed like she worked herself with social media to a point, and she was still working. It's not like she didn't wasn't working until she made enough money not to work anymore. But she was, no matter what, she was still working. So let's just take that from this video that she was still working, and then she got a spark, and then she blew. But let's keep it moving.
what I realized. It was a connection with the consumer that I lacked, that I loved. Because when people came around in retail, I was so happy to help them. I was so happy to help them. But it was the coworkers that I had to be around, the depressed people who didn't know their purpose and just hated life, that I hated to be around. But the people who were shopping, who were consuming, that's who I felt connected to. So when Instagram came out, I found myself in the restroom stalls. I found myself in the stalls of the dressing rooms, just constantly on Instagram. And when I found out, that I loved Instagram, I was on my phone 24/7. And so it got in the way of my job. And I remember one of my managers at one of my last jobs, she went off on me. Oh my God, because she couldn't find me. I had finally found what I love to do, and I could not leave it. It was Instagram. It was social media. So she came looking for me, and y'all, she let me have it. She was like, where are you? You need to be here where I can see you. You need to do your job. And she let me have it, y'all. When I tell y'all, because she was coming in the way of something I finally found that I loved.
No, she came at you because you were an employee and she didn't have no idea about your Instagram and she was just wondering where you was, and she been looking for you for a while, and so she probably was upset when she found you and was like, you do this so much and I've been letting it slide, and so she went off on you, you know. But okay, I definitely understand where she's coming from. um but at the same time, like, it was her time, you know. This is what I'm saying. Like, when you're working a job, like, she kept working jobs. She kept working jobs until she got to a point where she didn't need to work a job anymore. Meaning that when people was coming talking to her and stuff, she didn't tell them her personal business and stuff like that. She kept it simple, kept it professional, and then no sooner she got to a point where she didn't was getting to a point where she don't need a job anymore. Now, you know, she's like really into what she got, what where she need to be at in life. But this is not for everybody. You know, don't go quitting your job talking about you want to be a content creator, you know, because like I've been content creating with a job for a long time and I still ain't blue. A lot of us not going to have the same impact that another person have, or the same wave that another person have. We have to stay on our paths, you know, until the doors open, if they open for you. But let's keep it moving.
And I had never loved anything else more than social media, more than Instagram. And I just, oh my God, I was like, it's just when you finally find your purpose, it's like anybody who tries to come in the way of that, it angers you. And so, you know what? I said, you know what? That was the last day I worked at that job. That was the last day. And a lot of people would say, oh, you're lazy, you don't want to work a job. But when you find something you love to do, you'll do it.
But she was financially successful, probably to keep a vehicle, probably to keep a roof over her head. Maybe she was good with money management. She had some money coming in from places and stuff like that. And everybody doesn't have the money she has to just go and quit a job, you know, without having a backup job and stuff like that. You know, I'm not knocking her situation and her story or what she been through and stuff like that to get where she is, but we have to look deeper when we're listening to a lot of these people tell their stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, but let's keep it moving.
You gotta do. And so that was the last day I worked at that job, and I grew my Instagram, y'all. When back in 2014, when you put so much love into something, it's going to be successful. It's going to grow. Hear me when I say this. When you have a desire for something and you have a love for something, do not dismiss that. Do not let anyone come in. I don't care how old you are.
I 100% agree with that.
I don't care. You don't let anybody come in the way of something that you truly love and desire. Because when you truly love and desire it, you're going to grow that thing to a success that is beyond your imagination and beyond what anybody can think when you have a passion and a love for something. So I grew my Instagram. I had over 156,000 subscribers on Instagram, y'all. And Instagram changed and did something different. And then they stopped letting you post curated content, because I was posting other people's content, funny videos, natural hair. I was posting other people on my Instagram because I was just fascinated with natural hair and beauty and funny videos. And so I was posting that along with my content. But Instagram changed it. They were like, you can't post other people's content anymore. So that 156,000 followers never grew anymore. But I still had a fascination with Instagram. And so I grew my own Instagram up to 58,000 subscribers. Y'all, so from 2000, I would say, was that 2013 to now, I have so much stuff has come from Instagram. I was able to grow a business from Instagram. I was able to I raised over $24,000 to have loose skin removal surgery. So Instagram has changed my life, y'all. I was able to create an LLC from Instagram. I was able to grow a community from Instagram. And now I'm on YouTube, y'all. I've been on YouTube on this channel for 5 years, and this channel went viral. And now this is my income, and now I can do what I love and do food delivery and do YouTube and still have social media. And I'm just telling you this, it's not a traditional setup.
Guys, it can happen, but you have to be strategic when you're moving, and it's not going to happen overnight. A lot of times, like, we get anxious and we want to be the top dog, and we don't want to listen to people and stuff like that, and we end up truly missing out on a journey that is aligned or ordained to you, you know. So just keep that in mind, man. Like, no matter what, like, ain't nothing wrong with working a job, but at the same time, like, a job is a stepping stone, you know. Um, and maybe you might hit it off and become a highly successful with a business like DoorDash, or you know, or anything. You might become a big content creator as well. Anything is possible, but you have to take the steps, baby steps. You crawl before you walk. You already know what it is. So guys, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and I'm gonna holler at you guys in the next video. Over and out.